Yes, namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar on the certificate program in Sanskrit Proficiency. So maybe this is a question you have, why Sanskritam at HUA? Sanskritam with its intricate structure and melodic resonance is the key to unlocking India's vast cultural and philosophical heritage. At Hindu University of America, learning Sanskritam goes beyond language acquisition. It fosters linguistic precision, intellectual clarity, and a profound connection to ancient wisdom. Mastery of Sanskritam empowers students to engage with Hindu source texts directly without reliance on translation, thus preserving the authenticity of their meanings. So we're going to get into the certificate program in Sanskrit Proficiency. We're going to get into the details of this 4-year program. And in this webinar, you're going to get a chance to ask our faculty or some of our students their experiences as they share insights from their transformative learning journey. So whether you're a beginner or seeking to deepen your understanding, this session will provide valuable guidance on embarking upon this enriching path. So let me introduce our faculty. Main speaker for today is Shrimati Parvati Shiram. She currently serves as our coordinator of Sanskrit studies at Hindu University of America. She's a physical therapist by profession, but she has over a decade of experience in teaching Sanskritam and Vedanta at various organizations around the United States. At HUA, she leads the certificate program in Sanskrit studies, and she also teaches Sanskrit at Arsha Vidya Bharati. And she's been teaching Vedanta to Balvihar students at Chinmaya Mission since 2013. She continues her Vedanta and Sanskrit learning to deepen her knowledge. We are glad to have Parvati Ji as our coordinator of Sanskritam. Thank you for joining, Parvati Ji. And I think we have quite a few other students, people that you've gone on the path with and taught, and so I'll leave it to you to introduce some of our guests. We also have our Vice President of Operations, Arvind Swami, on today. Thank you, Arvind Ji, for being on to support today's webinar. And thank you all for joining. Parvati Ji, let me hand it to you to get us started.
Thank you, Ankurji. Let's begin with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namasarvebhyah. Thanks for being part of this CPSP webinar. Ankurji, will I be able to share the my PowerPoint?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Ankurji introduced me, and we have other faculty for our CPSP as well. So Narayan Nandaji, we have Dr. Ashutosh Parikh ji. So we have other faculty as well who are not here in the webinar today, but they will you will see them as part of the faculty when you enroll into the program. Now, your question, you may have many reasons for coming to the webinar today. You may want to learn Sanskritam, where to begin. So we begin at the very beginning at HUA. So you need not know even the alphabets. You do not need any prior knowledge of Sanskritam or any other Indian languages to join this course. You will start with the Devanagari script all the way from the beginning. The first course will introduce you to the Devanagari script, and going forward, you study the grammar of the Sanskritam, grammar in Sanskritam, and explore the Sanskritam literature as well. So by the end of the 4th year, you will already be in, able to independently look at texts like Bhagavad Gita. So that is how far you reach in 4 years. We have 4 phases in the CPSP program. So this program starts with, as I said, starts with the Devanagari script. So that would be in the beginner phase. So in the beginner phase, only the first course starts with the script. After that, you start learning the grammar and then move on into the intermediate phase, which will be the 2nd year of the program. And the advanced phase is the third year of the program, and proficiency phase, the fourth year of the program. This program is structured to in 4 years. So every year is broken up into 4 parts, 4 quarters. So 3 months is a quarter, in which you will have 10 classes of 1.5 hour duration each. And a student is expected to put in twice the time in that week to for self-study. So this is the time requirement from anybody who's willing to enroll in this program. It is a 24 credit program, and one needs 22.5 credits to earn the program certificate. However, if one does not require a program certificate, they could take the courses. If a person already knows some Sanskritam and would like to join the CPSP, we will give them a test to assess where they fit in, and they can take a course that doesn't have to be in at the beginning level. They could join it at an appropriate level. That said, the student will be able to complete the program, but will not earn a program certificate if they do not complete at least 15 of those courses. Out of 16, 15 is mandatory to get the program certificate. Course certificates, however, will be available. Now, what is unique about our program? So, as I mentioned before, we start with the basics of Devanagari. When we say we teach alphabets, I will let Adam ji and Yogini ji share about how we learn the alphabets. I will not go much into detail about that. We start learning the alphabets. We don't look at the alphabets just as to how to read and write them. We understand where is the origin of those alphabet, how the pronunciation happens, and all the other aspects relevant to that alphabet. And the medium of instruction begins with English. Though we say English, it only starts with English. Slowly, we move on to Sanskritam. So by the end of the second year, a little bit is already, taught in Sanskritam. Third year, a lot more. In the fourth year, it'll be majorly Sanskritam, just, enough English to help the students understand where they may not. So we are moving slowly from Sanskritam as the medium, from English as the medium of instruction to Sanskritam. So this prepares a student to enter into our master's program later. Once they finish the 4 year of CPSP, they may be ready to move into the master's program, which will be completely taught in Sanskritam. And that is the reasoning behind moving from English to Sanskritam. And all the classes are completely online. The sessions will require your physical attendance. And though it is online, we expect everyone to attend those live classes and have that participation, the interaction with the faculty, and a lot of assessments happen that way. And therefore, it is not, though it is remote learning, it is not something where you just watch videos and learn. There will be live classes. And as for breaks, this is a 4 year program. We do not recommend breaks, but if one has to take a break between phases, it is okay to take a break and then come back and resume where you left off. That is an option that we allow. Now, the only requirement is a person knows English, because the medium of instruction is going to start with English. Other than that, we do not have any other requirement. The age limit, we would say 14 and above are eligible. However, we do make exceptions for students over 10 if a parent is enrolling with them. Sometimes there are students who are younger than 14, but they usually have a parent enrolled with them as well. This is because the student needs to be able to navigate around the LMS, be responsible for their assignments. That requires a little more responsibility than, and 14 is kind of appropriate for that. Now, as I already mentioned, we have 4 courses in each phase, and 4 phases in the program, 4 courses in each phase, and each one lasts for a duration of 3 months. So it will be 10 week lessons, and the 11th week would be the quarter end examination. There would be a 1 or 2 weeks break before we resume the next quarter. And what you see here are the numbering of the courses themselves. You'll have 101, 102, 103, and 104 for the first phase. And the fourth phase, you're seeing the number 4 to show that that is the last year. And again, course 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you go into our website, this will help you see, look at each course. We have the course learning objectives listed there. You may look at those and understand how this entire program works. Now, this is the detail provided for you to register. Many of you may already know that. If you have any questions regarding registrations, you can always write to info@hua.edu. Or this is the number for Pragyaji. She will answer your questions if you have any. She or her team will call you even if you send a message to info@hua.edu. Now, 4 stages of learning. First starts with listening. So initially, we are not expecting you to start speaking. We're not expecting you to start reading and writing. First, start listening. From listening, the conversation. When we say conversation, a lot of our material are promoting conversation. So the lessons themselves are designed in a manner that promotes conversation. You will learn all the vocabulary that is required to make daily conversation. So that is the second step. And then, of course, the reading and the writing. The reading and the writing takes a lot more skill. You have to be able to identify all the alphabets and to read fluently. And the writing comes eventually. By the end of the course, one would be able to write an essay. One would be able to take a shloka and summarize it in Sanskrit. Now, the next batch, the new batch of CPSP, begins on April 12th. These classes are scheduled to happen on Saturday mornings, but if many prefer a weekday, please let Pragyaji know when you're registering, and we can see if a majority prefers a weekday evening, we can always move that around. So this is not set in stone. The proposed date is a Saturday. That's all I have to say now, and I will have Subramaniam Ayarji. He goes by Rishabh. So he is currently the teaching assistant for some of the CPSP courses, and he has done CPSP at HUA, so he has a perspective as a student and in the position of the faculty as well. Subramaniam Ayarji,
Namaste, everybody. As Parvati ji said, I have done the first 2 phases of CPSP, beginner phase and intermediate, and it's been a very rewarding experience studying this language. Sometimes in other courses, when Devanagari comes up or a word comes up that I recognize, or the word appears in a certain form and I recognize, I'm able to understand why it's in that form. It's a thrilling experience being able to make those connections. And as these studies continue, I'm looking forward to those connections happening more and more as we continue on this journey of rediscovering who we are and unlocking just the wealth of heritage that we have. So as also mentioned, I'm acting, assisting with the, okay, I'm assisting with the beginner phase, and that's also been a helpful experience in reinforcing the material and giving back to the program. To give an overview of the first course, we go through this book. We start in the first quarter, as mentioned, with the alphabet and with pronunciation, and then starting from the second quarter onwards, we move to this textbook. We learn some vocab, some basic grammar, and we get practice with reading and comprehension. And that was what I had.
So, Rishabh, now you may introduce the next speaker and then
Oh, yes. Okay.
Two.
So, sorry?
introduce both of them so they can take turns.
Okay. So also joining us today as two of the panelists are two students in the beginner phase right now, Yogini Ji and Adam Ji. They're currently in the 102 class, and we're excited to hear what their experience has been so far.
Rishabh,
Did you want one of us to jump in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
happy to jump in, and namaste everyone. My name is Yogini, and as Rishabh mentioned, I am at the big end of the second quarter of the beginner phase. So I will say just a few things. I would love to hear questions that anything that I can help answer. But you know, as described by the previous speakers, this program. I mean, I did research a lot of programs out there. It's been on my bucket list for the longest time. Not than bucket list, my desire to learn for all my life, but just didn't happen. I researched a lot, and then I did zero in on this program, and so I think that by itself is huge because there's many things out there, and I think from my standpoint, this now that I've been towards the end of my second quarter, I will say this is very well structured, very well, I think, put together from basic to where we are now. And it's also in many ways geared to working professionals, I think, and the timing, the expectation from what we learn, how it's taught every week. So there's just so many things about this that work really well. For me, this has been a very enriching experience overall for many different reasons. Let's talk about the pace for a moment. I mean, honestly, I think as adult learners, when we get into something to learn on our own, it's something we want to invest our own time in. It's really up to us how much we put into it and what we get out of it. So anyone coming in, I would say this is certainly, definitely worthwhile, very enriching. It's up to us how much we want to get out of the course because the faculty teachers are outstanding and excellent. They're very knowledgeable, and more than being knowledgeable, I think what I find very helpful is being responsive to questions and you know, some basic questions. I mean, for one, I'll say I can go back and perhaps ask something we had learned, say 10 weeks ago. And they're very patient. And I think that's huge because everyone learns at different pace and different style. I think they adapt to the class, which really helps. And what else about this can I say? The other things, what Parvati mentioned about the alphabets in the beginning, yes, I have, of course, learned Devanagari way back when. I've not used it most of my life, I realize. But so that was, and I'm like, well, I know all these alphabets. Yes, I sure knew them, but had I ever written them in all, you know, so many years? Perhaps not. And then the big difference is how do you say them? It's all about the language, how we speak, how we, you know, where the sounds come from. I had never even thought about saying some of these alphabets in certain ways. And I had to go back, and it was extremely enriching because, wow, I never thought about that. So that level of detail and the foundation gets so strong, I think, that has been very, very helpful. So overall, I'll say this is a program that I would highly encourage anyone who's interested to look into. And in terms of homework and stuff, or in terms of assignments, I think they're very organized in a way that it helps us revise the content learned during the class, and also challenge it's challenging enough. But at the end of the day, I'll just say it's really for any of us who are in the program to invest our own time and effort. It's not a lot, but it's enough, I think, to keep up the pace. I had pondered about taking a break between my my first quarter, but I'm glad I did not. Because that continuity makes a big difference in grasping and learning. So I think overall for me, it has been very rewarding and enriching, frankly. And I think I'm on the right path to achieve my longer term goals of being able to read, interpret things that I've been wanting to. So I'll stop there, but happy to answer any questions from the student perspective.
So good morning from where I am, everybody, and good evening to people who might be elsewhere. One of the things I would note is that I would think that for most people, in the class, taking the class where you learn the Devanagari is probably helpful even if you already know Devanagari. I've heard this from other people, and I've found that to be the case as well. I can give a few examples that in most modern Indian languages, they don't use the Visargaha, which is this breathing mark that looks like a colon. And so it looks very foreign, but we do learn how to use that. And the anuswara is a different sound in Sanskrit than it is, at least in Hindi, which is the other Devanagari language that I've encountered. There's also a tendency in Hindi to suppress the last vowel sound at the end of a word, which doesn't exist in Sanskrit. So I think that people who were familiar with Indian languages who had gone through that, I think they found these aspects of that class helpful. And the other thing I would mention is that much of the Devanagari class is based on the conjuncts, because you can have these like multiple consonant sounds that come together without vowel sounds, and some of them are a bit unusual looking and they're not used very often. So I made a list of those that don't come up very often and that it's not obvious what they are, so I can look that up. So I would recommend that even to people of who speak either Marathi or Nepali or Hindi or something like that. I think there's value in that. As far as when Parvati ji went through the list, she had it where it goes listening and speaking, and then reading and writing were more difficult. That hasn't really been my experience coming from a non-Indian background. I find the speaking and the listening to be the most difficult part of the class. And the reason for that is that there are a number of sounds in Sanskrit which, for somebody who grew up speaking English, sound very similar. And I'm not very readily able to distinguish the sounds by ear. And I'm even less able to reproduce the sounds. I mean, that's one of the practice things that we do go over. And even in the Devanagari class, there were assignments that we had where we had to listen to words and reproduce them in writing, or we had to speak the words based on the writing. And so there is that aspect to it. So even if you know Devanagari, but if you come from an English speaking primarily background, I think that's very helpful. For if you can speak fluently in other Indian languages that do make those distinctions, that's probably less important. But I would give that advice. As far as the use of the Mukalam book, which was the book that Rishabhji showed you, they have a tendency to take it bit by bit, which is nice. The pacing is decent. Most of the people that are in the class, as far as I can tell, either are in school or have jobs, and so it's nice not to cram too much on us at once. I will say about the Mukalam book is that it tends to give lots of examples, but it doesn't really explain. What I think the educational philosophy of that book is they want you to go through the examples and sort of pick it up by looking at the examples, and then you pick up the idea, and then you sort of learn it innately, like you learn a language that you're learning how to speak. Given that, I have found it sometimes helpful to go to a reference grammar, either as a book or on the internet, to sort of solidify the rules. My impression from Sanskrit is that people who come from a background of Indian languages do have an advantage in that there are many, many, many cognates from Sanskrit to modern Indian languages, so it makes it easier to learn the vocabulary. But the grammar is quite different from at least Hindi, which is the only modern language that I'm that familiar with. And it seems to me to be more similar to Greek or Latin than it is to Hindi. Like the affinity to Greek or Latin is quite surprising. So the grammar is, I think, not intuitive for people that speak modern languages. I will say about the class too that it's a fairly widespread group. Most of the people who are in the class, I think, are of Indian cultural background, but quite a few of us are not. There are quite a few people who don't have an Indian background, and they range from high school age to I don't know how old the oldest person is, but there's a number of older people like me, and so it's a pretty good group. If you have to miss a class, there are recordings, and so you can look at the recording later, which is very helpful because, as I mentioned, many of us have jobs, and from what I can gather from people that are logging in, people in this class are coming from all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogini ji and Adam ji, for sharing that. Rishabh ji, anything else, Rishabh ji, you would like to add after they have spoken?
Yeah, I mean, I would just reiterate that it's a very rewarding course of study. I highly recommend it to anyone who's thinking of it. And when we think about anything that we want in life, there's always some struggle that we have to go through in order to get there. And there's never a good time to start. So April 12th is as good of a time as any. And that's all I'll say.
Thank you, Rishabh ji. There was a
Maybe
question
finish your
about,
taxes first and then.
there was a question about what are the other courses, Sanskritam courses at HUA. So we have many. We have the certificate program in Bhagavad Gita through Sanskritam, and we also have the micro certificate in Sanskritam. These, however, are not offered in the spring quarter, and that is the reason I did not mention those. There are two other courses that are offered in spring, which is one is from Mahabharata Yaksha Prashna, and the other one is Chandas. But these are for those who already have some knowledge of Sanskritam. So it is not for a beginner. So somebody who says, I know Sanskritam, I know some Sanskritam grammar. So they probably would be able to understand and engage meaningfully in these other courses. That's another reason why I did not mention those before. So those are the other courses that we have. And of course, we have our MA in Sanskrit, so the Masters of Arts, which one can take once they finish the CPSP. They will have sufficient knowledge to be able to pass the entrance test that is required for the Masters of Arts in Sanskritam and join that later. There was a question about the lateral entry. Somebody was asking about a Parichaya exam. Now this Pravesha through Kovida is offered by Sanskrita Bharati. So though our curriculum covers most of those, we do not have exactly those certificates offered here. Our program also teaches those, but we are offering them as certificate program in Sanskrit Proficiency. So for a person who is studied for Parichaya, you'd probably be taking a lateral entry test and moving into our intermediate phase. That is the most logical entry path as far as I think. If you have any questions at this point, please post it in the Q&A, and I'm ready to take the questions. Ankurji, do you see any questions already in the chat? I did not see any other questions.
Yeah, nobody has put any questions in the Q&A box. Looking through the chat, I don't see any questions there either. Thank you to our students, Adam and Yogini ji and Rushabh, for explaining and getting into it. Okay, here we go. After the completion of 4 years, is it equivalent to BA in Sanskritam or a diploma? And
I wouldn't say it's an equivalent to BA, though I mentioned that you may take the MA. So the MA would require you to have some other undergrad, completion of some other undergrad in your in whichever field before you go into that. So the knowledge required for you to start with an MA program is what you would get from this certificate program. I wouldn't call it the equivalent of BA. For that, we have more courses, as I mentioned, this Yaksha Prashna, the Chandas, and the other courses that follows the that is a higher level than the CPSP. Now, those put together may give you the enough of knowledge, which I would call as an equivalent for BA, not at the CPSP. CPSP would be more like a diploma, an equivalent of diploma. See another question.
Great. I'm putting the link to the. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, 1 second. I just put the link, the certificate program, Sanskrit Proficiency in the chat. You can go there and click around a little bit. A lot of the details are there. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay. I have a question, Parvati ji. So how would a prospective student decide whether to take this course or the Bhagavad Gita through Sanskrit course?
The Bhagavad Gita through Sanskritam would use Bhagavad Gita verses to teach Sanskritam. So the difference is here as you mentioned, we take this conversational Sanskritam to learn Sanskritam. Whereas in the Bhagavad Gita through Sanskritam, from the beginning, they're learning whatever you're learning. You're learning the pronouns, you're learning the nouns. It is done using only the Bhagavad Gita. Here, after the second year, we take up different I would say different shlokas. It would not be only from Bhagavad Gita. We would be taking up Subhashitani. We would probably be taking up Bhatrahati's Niti Shatakam. We may be picking up different texts to learn. There, it is focused only on Bhagavad Gita. That would be the difference between this program and that. But that said, both of them are going to give you a solid knowledge in grammar, Sanskritam grammar. I have a question. I have already done my Vastu Acharya in Sanskrit. I would like to know about other courses. So if you already are fluent in Sanskritam, I would say please contact us about our Masters in Arts in Sanskritam. So if you are able to clear the proficiency test for that, the basic requirement, you would be able to join the Masters of Arts in Sanskritam, which is again, we have a 2-year and a 4-year mode. For those who want to accelerate, they can finish it in 2 years. For those who want to take it at an easy pace, it will be a 4-year program. And there are no practice questions for the placement test. It would test only your basic Sanskritam grammar. So you need not know any other particular text. You do not need to have any Shastric knowledge to take that test. Your basic grammar would be tested. And depending on how far you know, we'll make that placement. How much you know, we'll see which would be the appropriate course to place you in. And there's a question about time. Anything other than the Saturday morning? Yes, definitely. As I mentioned before, please write to our registrations and give them your preferred timings. Maybe give 2, 3 of them. And if we get many such requests, we will definitely consider a different time or a different day altogether. All the courses are listed on our website. Ankurji, would you be able to pull up our courses, because there are many who are asking to see our courses on our website?
Yeah, I've got it open. I dropped a link in the to one of the responses, but I have it right here. So this is our full course catalog. I'll drop this link into the chat as well.
So at HUA, we have courses that are not Sanskritam related as well. So we have courses, there are actually only about 4 programs that are Sanskritam related, and a few courses that are Sanskritam related. The rest of them all does not require one to know Sanskritam. We have many, many other courses. Go ahead, Ankurji.
Yeah, so over 261 courses. We continue to add courses every quarter. And these are kind of the areas of study we've broken it down to. Sanskrit is a major backbone and pillar of the university, but Ayurveda and integrative health. You may know we just acquired the California College of Ayurveda, conflict and peace studies, Hindu studies foundations, history and methods, language and literature studies, post-colonial Hindu studies, of course, Sanskrit studies, text and traditions, yoga studies. And if you start scrolling, I'm proud of the diversity and the range of courses, the different faculty from around the world that are teaching so many different courses at Hindu University of America. Maybe every quarter we have 30 to 40 courses, depending on the rotation and who's offering. And of course, the Sanskrit programs are designed to help you matriculate and take one course, and then the next quarter, the next one is available. So in that way, you have a lot of options to learn, to engage in Hindu Dharma, to learn about whatever aspect of Sanatana Dharma you are interested in. So I don't need to keep on scrolling, but I think you get the scope, right? The beginning Sanskrit, right? You can see each of these courses, and you can click through, and then if you click through any one of these courses, where's CPSP? I don't have CPSP right here, but if you click through any of the courses, you'll see more details about the course, the cost, the description, the program study, when it is, who's the faculty, learning objectives, course content. So all of that is available if you just click through that. I didn't drop it in the chat. I just sent it to Adam.
Question about how to log in for classes. So once a student is registered, they will be set up on our LMS, the Learning Management System, and the Zoom links for each class will be provided right there. So once you're familiar with that, you'll be able to just click on the link and join. It's a Zoom session every day. And all the class recordings also will be posted, and you'll have the link on the LMS to just click on it. It'll be YouTube videos that you can access after the class. Usually it takes about 24 to 48 hours to upload those. But after that, it will be available for all the students. And you can continue to access that throughout the program. So it's not going to disappear for you. It's going to stay there, and you can continue to access all the material that are there. And there was a question about the books. The books are the fee structure would include the books as well. So when you're selecting, please say whether you live in the US or outside of US. For those who are in the US, the books will be shipped, and for those outside, a PDF will be shared. These books are from Sanskrit Bharati, and they do not allow us to ship it outside of the US, and that is the reason why people outside get only a PDF. It is either or. You cannot have both. I know that is a question that usually comes up. Can I have both the book and the PDF? It will be either or. So we will ship the books out to you if you are a resident of the US, anywhere, any states.
Great. Let me launch the poll. Just let us know if you're interested. Oh, this is the wrong one. I'll take a quick second to launch the poll. Let us know if you're interested in this course or not, or this program, the certificate program. I think we have a few more questions, Parvati ji, if you want to look through.
The question was about whether we can log in from our phone. As long as you are logged into your HUA email ID, you can log in from any device, I'm thinking. I don't think it should be a problem. You will be able to access these Zoom links, access the video recordings, and all course material only using your HUA email address. So you will not be able to log in from another ID, but the device shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to log in from any device.
I
Did I
do.
miss any other?
Yeah, for those who are still listening, there are a few choices on how you can join the course. If you want a discount and you believe you'll finish the course, they do have an option of taking the entire course at once, or you can sign up by phases, which are also at a discount. And a third option is to take it class by class. For this phase, I was taking it class by class, which is a little bit more expensive. But the reason I did that was because I live in California and I wasn't always sure that the classes would be given a time that I could take them. But talking with other people, I understand that the university will make accommodations if you can't make it, and so that it should be possible. And so I think when the second phase comes up, my intention is to sign up for the phase because I think they will be able to work with me even if the class time is at a difficult time.
Even now, you would be able to switch to the phase. So if, let's say somebody starts by registering for a course and then wants to switch to the phase, we can always make a request and switch to the phase right there. The program enrollment, as he mentioned, there's a big discount if you enroll for the entire program, and phase by phase would be also have some amount of discount. The course by course will include a lot of admin fee and everything, so it's going to always be expensive. The reasoning for this is we want everyone to enroll for the phase or the program. It doesn't make sense to just take one course, courses here and there. So this is a program and it is sequential, and therefore you will have to go from one to the other. That is the reasoning for asking to enroll into the entire program. And there is a
And we'll jump in, Parvati, really quick for the question on the phone. I think, yes, you can, of course, log in from any device, but to make the most of it, as Parvati and Shabji share content on the screen, it's hard to see it on the phone. I've tried that because when I was coming back from work or something, sometimes I had to. So it's better to have a device that you can follow the material along and read it clearly. But so phone can be limiting in that sense. So it's absolutely, you can log in, but to make most of it in the 90 minutes or so, or a couple hours, it's good to follow along. And all the material is shared with us after the class, so it's all there to review. But following along as it's being taught, I think is huge and very important, at least for me. So just want to share that out there.
So the book usually is projected on the screen during classes. And other than that, there will be other notes that will be shared as well. So and that's what she's mentioning, that it will be difficult sometimes to see it very well on the phone screen being smaller.
Okay, Udayji, let's connect afterwards and I'll send you a prospectus about HUA. But a lot of the information is available on the website on our About page. HUA, an anonymous attendee is asking, is not currently accredited. We're authorized by about 10 or 15 states, and we're increasing the number of states who have authorized us to grant degrees. And we are in the process of applying for accreditation. It is a long process, and all of our programs are part of that application process. You will be grandfathered in. So as a student who's in the programs, we are applying for accreditation. Your degree will be accredited once the university is accredited. We're between 18 months and 3 years, I think, is the range that we're at, and we'll keep you posted on that. When we are accredited, we will definitely celebrate and announce. It is a big milestone that we are working hard to achieve.
So
Yeah,
that puts us at the time limit when by the time you finish your CPSP program, we should be accredited. So that's 18 months to 3 years. Yes, this is the 4-year program. So all of you will, by the time you finish the program, yes, you will have your certificate from an accredited university. There's one more question I see. Yeah, I mean, it is okay to use your phone or your laptop. We do not have any such requirement for attending classes. But as mentioned before, try to attempt, there will be quizzes and assignments for every quarter. And those, it is preferable to do that on a device because of how you're capturing the image of what you've written, or whether if you're typing in Devanagari, it tends to change based on which device you use. So those adjustments will have to be made. But once you join the program, I think those questions can be answered. Any other questions I missed, Ankurji?
No, I think we've gone through all of the questions. So audience, this is your last chance to get in your question. I have the poll up. Please let us know if you are interested in taking this certificate program.
Right. There's one disclosure that I wanted to make too. At least in the first 2 years of the program, they want us to use ancient technology. They want us to use a pencil and a paper for most of our assignments. So just so you know that. Okay.
Yes. So, and he would agree that it's so much easier to type those up, and the conjuncts especially would be so much easier if you just could type it up. If you have to write it, you have to think about what all alphabets go into and what is it going to look like. But if you're typing, it's so much easier. And everybody wishes they did that, but unless you do it the old-fashioned way, it is difficult to have that in your head. So if there is a typo, or if there's a printing error, you would not know if you didn't know it in advance. If you rely too much on electronics, sometimes it's not up here in our head. So as we say, mastake avashyakam pustakena, which means it should be in your head, not in the book. So we are so used to looking for. Of course, we use a lot of resources that are online, but when it comes to reading and writing, it is better to do the old-fashioned way. And it's only in the first year. Second year, we do allow you to type up your responses, the text boxes. And of course, we are not going to teach you how to type. You'll have to learn that on your own. We probably point you in the direction of how to get a Devanagari keyboard or how to install that on your device, but that's as far as we go. You'll have to learn how to type on your own. The reading and writing, of course, we help you with that.
You do pick it up pretty quick. So I wouldn't worry about that. I speak
Yes.
from experience.
Easier option, everybody picks it up. And as I mentioned, it's a 10-week continuous classes, and then the 11th one would be the quarter end exam, and after that every time you will have about 2 to 3 weeks break. So in the winter quarter, not in the winter quarter, in the December and the July months, you will have 3 weeks. Otherwise, you would have 2 weeks of breaks. So if you're thinking about how to space it, how the breaks are going to be, that is how it's going to be. You will get a 1-2 week break between every quarter as well. So there's an interval, there's a breathing space for you to go do what you have to do. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. Ankurji, do you?
No more questions. I think we've answered everyone's questions. We've got few people interested definitely in the program, definitely some folks who have some follow-up questions. Thank you for expressing your interest. We will be doing the follow-up and figuring out where and how to plug you in. I think that's it for me. Thank you for joining. Please do consider enrolling. Parvati ji, Rishabh ji, Yogini ji, Adam ji, if you want to give a last pitch or closing thoughts or just your reflections, please take your turn.
I'd like just to add that if you are planning to enroll, please enroll at the earliest. Sometimes we do get very late registrations, and that causes delays for us in setting up the LMS. And kind of, I need to know how many students enroll into a program, especially to plan ahead. It helps us quite a bit if your enrollment's coming earlier. So if you are planning to enroll, please make the decision sooner rather than later. So please do not wait for that second week of April to start registering. Because once you start the process, there's also our admin team will have to add you on the LMS, create a HUA ID for you. They have a lot of work to do. And you saw the number of courses that are there. So with that many courses, their workload in that last week is tremendous. And please help them out by registering earlier. You're going to register, so you might as well register the earliest. And if you have any questions, you can always write to us. If you have any academic questions, please ask Pragyaji to put you in touch with me. I will be available to talk to you on phone or respond to your queries by email. Please do not hesitate to ask those questions. If you did not get a chance to ask any question now, you still have your option to ask those questions. Send your questions by email. And please also recommend this to your friends and family. They, once this webinar is over, this webinar recording will be shared with all of you. Please feel free to forward those to your friends and family and have them join the course as well.
I'll just say one quick thing. Yes, I was one of those who joined in the second week, not because I was slacking, but just because I was unsure whether to take the plunge or not, right? There's so many things that go on, but I would say if anybody's in that stage where, I'm not sure, I think, or on the brink of yes, no, whatever, there's just life happening and whatever, I think in so many ways, I think I would just recommend go for it. I mean, don't, I get that trepidation sometimes because it's new, you're adding on more to your life, more work, more just everything. But in so many ways, I mean, this frankly, going through the course and every week and even the homework after that can be more relaxing, frankly, more than stressful, at least for me, because I'm learning something new. It's more invigorating, more enriching in that sense. So I think anyone on the fence about not sure, I would say, take the plunge. There's no downside to that. It's only going to help you if at all. And if not, you would have tried and you would then say it's not for you, it's meant for you, right? So it's only the right, and I say that because I did explore a lot for several years before I took the plunge last year. So that's just a very personal experience I wanted to share with everyone.
So there's a question about someone who's taken 2 courses of certificate program before. It depends on how long ago you took that. We have, the curriculum has changed a little bit. So you will have to please get in touch with me and I'll see which book you have done, what was the level that they took you in the first 2 courses. And based on that, we will give you an evaluation and put you in the appropriate course. So it does not mean that you did 2, so you're going to probably go to the 3rd one. It does not work like that because you might have missed some concepts from the earlier one, or you may have gone ahead. Whatever it is, we would like to assess you before you get an entry into the course. You don't have to start at the very beginning. That is said, but then whatever is the most appropriate level with the current curriculum will place you there.
I will say that my experience with the beginner phase thus far, and I'm only halfway through it, has been kind of satisfying because we're at the end of the second class. It's about, I don't know, 20 classes in, something like that, and we're already kind of reading baby Sanskrit, so we're getting there.
If you have studied the Mukulam, that is the book we are currently using as well. So that's a good one. In between, there was a change in that curriculum, and so this is not going to be, Mukulam is not going to be a problem. Wherever, get in touch with me. We'll see where you left off in Mukulam and get you started from the next lesson onwards.
And one last thing I'll say that I think in the midst of everything that we've shared, it got overlooked a little bit, but this is really kind of a sense of community, and a community of everybody looking to study this language and develop themselves in this respect, and it's been very meaningful. So come for the language, stay for the community, and hope to see you next quarter.
Ankurji, there are nothing else. Should I conclude with the prayer again?
Yes,
I would,
please.
rather than me concluding with a prayer, I'd ask one of them, Aramji or Yoginiji, one of you, if you would like to conclude with a prayer.
I tend to mangle it. I would defer to somebody.
Yoginiji? You're muted. You're saying something, but we don't hear you. Okay, I think she is probably talking to somebody else. I thought she was saying something to us. Okay, so Rishabhji, that's your turn then.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Dhanyavadaha. Punarmilamaha. So we shall meet again. So Punarmilamaha, we shall meet again. So hopefully see you all soon on April 12th in our class.